Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you are already subscribed, welcome back. My name is Sierra, and in today's video, I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to reach the perfect credit score. So sorry the background's not really that fun, but this is a very important video, so please just pay attention. Whatever you're doing, you can just, have the video on listening. There's not really much to visualize in this video, but I do want to share this with you guys because you guys know I enjoy helping everybody and I want everybody to be able to get things in life and have good credit. I'm going to share some tips and tricks with you guys. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to give you guys a little bit of background on, how my credit started, where I'm at today, how I got there, and everything in between. And then once I'm done explaining that, I will go ahead and, explain to you guys how to get a good credit score quickly without having to go through all the obstacles that I went through. So if you do want to learn a little bit more about how to reach perfect credit, then just keep on watching. Alright, so let's go ahead and just dive right into my credit history. So first thing I did when I turned 18 is I got myself a credit card. I did research and I decided to go with the Discover card because they had a really good program for students and you didn't have to have perfect credit in order to get approved. So I was in college at the time and, I had just turned 18, just started going to school, and I decided to apply. So I didn't have anything on my credit report. I had nothing bad. I just simply had nothing at all. So sometimes people start off with great credit, like in the 700s. Some start off, lower than 500, some 6. It all just varies. What it depends on, I'm not really sure. I don't know why some people start off with more than others, with nothing on their report. So I started off with about 500 to 520, somewhere in between that range. I don't remember exactly what it was. Discover approved me. I got my Discover card with a $500 limit and you couldn't tell me anything. I thought I had it going on. So I, worked my way up to now a almost $20,000 limit on my Discover card, and I love my Discover card so much. I'm not here to sell anything for Discover, but if you guys do want to apply for a Discover card, you can click the link down below in the description and get a card for yourself. It's a great beginner friendly card, and if you do use my link down below, you will receive anywhere from $50 to $100 to spend on whatever you would like. But anyway, so yes, I did start off with the Discover card. I still use it to this day, and I had, my 500 limit, and my credit score was not that great, but like I said, it wasn't bad. So they approved me. At first I would swipe my card for gas, say $30, here and there, and I would just pay it all off at the end of the month. I noticed that my credit score was not going up. It wasn't really changing. And so I started doing a little bit more research, and I figured out that it's because it's reporting every month as a zero balance. So it looks like I'm not even spending anything on the card. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna, still buy my gas and, little things here and there, and I'll pay it off in increments. So I did that, and I noticed after a couple months it started going up. And I was like, okay, this is working. I'm going to just keep on, spending little bits here and there and paying it off in little increments. So you always want to pay more than the minimum, but you never want to pay it off in full when you are trying to build your credit. Because if it's reporting a zero balance each month, you're not going to get anywhere. So I did that for a year or two, and then my credit was at about 580. That's when I bought my first car. This car I got approved all by myself. I was about 20 years old. I want to say maybe 19. My credit score was about 580. So the loan company took a, risk with me. They said, we don't see anything bad on your credit report. You just don't really have much. So we're going to trust you. We're going to give you this loan. The car was only like $9,000. Looking back at it, I just laugh now because I was like, oh my God, I need to get this car. I need to figure out a way to get this car. So anyway, I got my first car, all by myself, and, well, not my first car, but my first car with a payment all by myself. So I had that, and, I just kept paying my car payment, kept paying everything on time. I got a few more credit cards over, the next few years after turning 20, and store cards. I had Victoria's Secret, Forever 21. I would just, buy little things on them here and there, and then pay them off, or pay a good chunk of them off at the end of the month. So by the time that I was 22ish, my credit was in the low 700s, and I was happy that everything was going up. When I turned 23, that's when I bought my first house. and my credit was in the high 700s at that point. So I bought the house. I was still, paying on my car. I was still, managing my credit cards, and I was paying my mortgage on time, every month. I never had any late payments or anything like that. So then when I bought my house, probably like a year later, at the end of me being 23, I decided to sell my car. I did pay the car off and then sold it, and my credit actually dropped 15 points when I sold the car because it closed an account on my credit report. So that's also, something that you don't want to really do, is like close accounts, but we'll talk about that later on in the video. So my credit was then, still in the pretty high 700s, but it did drop a little bit. So I just, kept working, kept paying my mortgage, kept managing my credit cards. I didn't have a car payment anymore, so that gave me a little bit more money monthly, and that was pretty much it. And then when I turned 24, that's when I bought my Jeep. By that point, my credit was in the 800s, the low 800s, so I did get a pretty good interest rate on my Jeep. I know you guys like always ask me like, how's your car payment low and stuff like that. Honestly, interest rate has a lot to do with it, and to be completely honest, I don't even know what my interest rate is on that Jeep, but I know it's got to be something good, with my payments being $300 a month. So I'm sure my credit score, has factored into that as well. My car was almost $30,000, and I think I put $2,000 down, if I can remember correctly. But anyway, so yes, I got the Jeep. I was just paying my payments, still managing my mortgage, my credit cards, everything like that, just never being late with anything, always paying more than the minimum. And then when I turned 26 last year, I did sell my house. When I sold my house, my credit hopped into like the high 800s. I don't know what caused it to do that. I'm assuming probably because my debt to income ratio went down a lot. So I just kept on maintaining, I was doing my paying my car payment. I was, maintaining my credit cards, doing all that stuff. And then my credit hit perfect when I was 26. And I was so happy to see that. I wanted to see that for so long. It just was something that I always worked towards, and it did hit perfect. And then it did go down because I had some things, going on, and currently it is still in the high 800s, so I'm still happy with that. But anyway, that's just like a little rundown of like my credit history, so you guys understand, where I started, where I'm at currently, and everything in between. So now I'm going to tell you guys some tips and tricks to really get your credit score up. And I just want to let you guys know, so a lot of people think that if your credit is not in the 800s, it's bad or it's not looked at as good. So I do work for a bank, I know all types of things about credit and things like that. 680 to 850 is a good credit score. Obviously, the higher up you go, closer to perfect is great, but you can get approved for things, and you can, get things with a high 600 credit score, 700, and stuff like that. So don't think just because your credit's not perfect or in the 800s, you're not going to be able to get anything. Your interest rate may just be a little bit higher, but that's fine because you can always refinance down the road if you need to once you, get your credit higher. So that's just something that I wanted to point out. But here go the tips and tricks. So I wrote down right here just different things that go into play with your credit score. So number one is going to be your payment history. This is super important. Whether or not you're able to, pay your stuff on time, it makes a huge difference on your credit. So if you have, great credit, you're paying everything on time, and boom, you miss one payment, your credit score can drop drastically. It happened to me while I was in the middle of moving, and it was horrible. I almost had a stroke at work. I literally took off work the rest of the day because I couldn't even focus. And long story short, I got it all taken care of. Within a week, my score was back up. So that just goes to show, like, if you miss one payment, with good credit history, it can really mess you up, like really bad. So you want to make sure you're always on time. That's why I always tell people, if you are buying something on credit and you don't have the cash to pay for it, don't do it. It's not a good idea unless you know for sure 100% certain that you're going to be able to pay that money off. Don't do it, because you're going to risk, late payments. You're going to risk messing up your credit, in the long run. So payment history is huge. It doesn't matter, you know, what you have to pay each month. Just make sure you pay it on time and your credit will, you know, start to increase. Utilization is a huge factor in your credit. So say you have like a $10,000 credit card limit, you only want to spend 10% of that at max, especially when you're starting out, because that is going to make a huge impact in your credit score. So if you get a $10,000 credit card and you max it out, your credit score is probably going to take a big hit. Creditors want to see that you're responsible with the money that they give you. So you want to just make sure your utilization is 10% or below if you're just starting out building credit. That's my best advice to you. As you, you know, establish a credit history and things like that, the higher you go, it's not going to kill you. But if you're just starting out or you're trying to rebuild your credit, keep your utilization at 10% or below. Something else that is pretty big when it comes to credit is the age of your credit report. So you'll notice if you're younger and you don't have that much on your credit report, your age of credit isn't going to be that long. So your age of credit is like all of your accounts, the first one you ever opened, everything in between, and your most recent one all added together, and then the average is your age of credit. So I think mine is like 6 years and something. Just because I do have, you know, I think my most recent inquiry is my American Express card that I got. That was like a year or so ago. So that's taken into effect, plus my Discover card, which is the oldest, which I got, I think that was 9 years ago. So it averages out to be about 6 years. But anyway, age of credit has a lot to do with your credit score. And you'll notice the older you get, the longer you've had credit, you know, accounts open and things like that, the higher your score is going to go. And that's why it's really important to never close accounts. So you don't want to close accounts, especially older ones. Like right now, if I was to go and close my Discover card, my credit score would probably take a plummet because it's going to mess with my age of credit. So if you don't use your credit cards that maybe you got when you were younger, but they're still open, I would suggest just swipe a couple dollars here and there just to keep them open, because you don't want them to close and then affect your score. Next is going to be your total accounts. So the more accounts you have when you're starting out, the lower your score is going to stay. And this is just because when you're first starting out building credit, you don't want to have a bunch of accounts. It just doesn't look good. So if you go and apply for 5 different credit cards, you know, in 1 week, there's 5 inquiries, and there's a chance that you can run up the balances on all of those cards, and it's just too short of a time to apply for that many accounts. So keep your accounts low as you're starting off, and then, you know, kind of build up. Remember, credit cards aren't the only thing that count as accounts. Mortgages count, student loans count, car payments, credit cards, anything that's on your credit reporting monthly is going to count as your total account. So just keep that in mind. Next is going to be inquiries. So anytime you have an inquiry on your report, it dings your score. Normally it's not anything too drastic, anywhere from like 1 to 5 points is average. But if you are just starting out and you get a bunch of inquiries, it's going to take a bigger hit on you than someone that, you know, has established credit. So when you are applying, I would suggest just apply for one major credit card if you're just starting out, and, you know, charge here and there, pay off more than the minimum every month, but never pay it off in full, because that's going to build your credit. Just start off with one card. That's my best advice. And then last thing that I want to mention is your debt to income ratio. So your debt to income ratio is the amount of debt that you have compared to how much money you're bringing in monthly or how much you make. So if you have a high debt to income ratio, you know, it does kind of impact your score. And, you know, the more debt you have, obviously, the lower your score is most likely going to be. So just keep that in mind as well. Something that I can say that will help build your credit score really fast, and I've helped people do this, quite a few people actually, is having someone add you to their credit card as an authorized user. If you have a person in your life, like a family member, boyfriend, spouse, whatever, that has good credit and they maintain a good credit history, they're on time with their payments, they don't overspend and things like that, have them add you to their credit card This will help you out a ton. For instance, my younger brother, when he turned 18, not 18, I'm sorry. When he turned 16, I added him to my credit card, just one, my Discover card. You know, I pay my stuff on time. When I have a balance, I'm always, good with everything. So his credit score starting out was 775 because I added him to my credit card when he was 16, and we built him up a decent credit history over the past 2 years. He's now 18. So if you have somebody that you can trust, to add you, go for it, because your credit will fly up before you even know it. And once you're on your own, you'll be able to, pretty much get whatever and, have a good history. But it can be damaging as well if the person is irresponsible with their credit card. It can bring your score down as well. So that's why I say make sure it's somebody that you trust and is responsible. But I have added multiple people as authorized users to my credit card just to help them out, family, friends, things like that. And they've all benefited really well from it. So that is probably like the number one thing that I can say is add or get added to someone's credit card as an authorized user. Next thing is, like I already said, on-time payments. That's a huge thing. You just really need to make sure that you're paying your stuff on time. It sounds like common sense, but honestly, you'd be so surprised at how many people's accounts go to collections, how many people just don't care at the end of the day. They just feel defeated, but you can't let anything like that defeat you. You always have to find a way. Like, I talk to people on the daily. They're like, I just don't know. This got repoed. This is in collections. I don't even know where to begin. And there's always a side hustle out there. There's always some way to make money. And if you really want, to have a good future and have, a decent credit score where you can get approved for things and get things that you want, you're going to make it happen regardless of whatever. So don't be late on your payments. A lot of credit card companies, if you are struggling or you need help with your payments, for instance, Discover will help you out tremendously. They will put your payments on pause. There's so many different things that they do, disaster benefits. There's just a lot. There's a lot out there. I'm sure other credit card companies offer it as well if you, ever have trouble with making your payments. Just don't let them get behind. Collections are horrible, and you don't want that on your report. So then that brings me to the people who have bad credit currently and are trying to, turn it around and fix their credit. I'm going to give you guys this website. I give this to everybody. I give this to the customers that I speak with at work. I give this to friends, family. It works. It's called annualcreditreport.com. It's a government website. You can go on there. You can view your credit report, all three, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, free every year, one time a year. You don't have to pay. You don't have to do anything. It is a legitimate website. I use it. People that I know use it, and I recommend it to everyone. Log on. You can look on all your reports, see what's on there that's damaging your credits. If it's something that you can dispute it. Go through all of your collections. Sometimes collections won't fall off when they're supposed to, so you can go and dispute them. It'll clear off your report, and then boom, your credit score will go up like that. You can try disputing stuff that doesn't show eligible for dispute. Sometimes they'll take it off. You have to really just scrub through your report. If you want good credit, you have to do this one thing, and it's annualcreditreport.com. It will help you out tremendously. I swear by it. And like I said, just dispute anything bad off your report. You'll be so surprised at how much stuff comes off of it. And then once, your credit score starts going up, you'll be able to get approved for cards. You'll be able to get approved for things. Just make sure you're paying your monthly payments on time. Keep that utilization under 10% until you, reach a good score. I would say in like the mid 700s. Then you can, open up your utilization a little bit more. And just really, to be honest, you guys, it's all about being responsible with your money and making good decisions. Luckily, I came from a background where my parents, drilled it in my head that credit is everything in this world. If you're not rich, you need credit to get stuff. If you can't pay cash for things, you're going to need credit. So I've always just been very strict on myself and, determined to have good credit and be able to get things. And a lot of it just comes down to self-discipline and just being responsible. You know, if you didn't come from that background and you don't really know, it's easy to go ahead and get wrapped up in tons of credit card debt. I see it happen on the daily. I see it happen with friends, family, and it's a hard hole to get out of. So just take my advice. If you have bad credit right now, go to annualcreditreport.com. Look at everything that's, you know, negatively impacting you. Start disputing. Within a couple weeks, months, you'll see your credit scores start to go up. And then you can kind of start from there. Get like a small credit card. Like I said, if you want a Discover card, follow the link down below. Discover has a really high approval rate if you have, you know, not so great of a credit score. So I mean, take it. Sometimes you have to get a secured card. Secured card basically just means you put the money up, the credit card company will give you, you know, a credit card with, say, a $500 limit. You supply the $500, they'll help you, you know, manage your money, and hopefully you'll, you know, do a good job at utilizing the card right and making your payments on time. And once you graduate from a secured card, they'll reimburse you your $500 or however much you decide to put down, and then you'll have a real regular credit card that has an unsecured line of credit, and you're good to go. So there's a lot of things out there. I can't really, you know, go on all day about this stuff, but look it up, you know, look up different things that can help you if your credit's bad. Look up how to get, you know, a good credit score. A lot of people will charge you and, you know, try to get money out of you and things like that. But I'm telling you, you don't need any of that. It's doable without, you know, paying somebody to help you. I feel like I have, you know, enough wisdom to share with everybody to really get you to where you want to be. So just take my advice, and hopefully this video helped you guys. I'm currently on my lunch break, you guys, so I have to get back to work. But like I said, hopefully this video did help you guys out. Hopefully you can take some stuff away from it and really start implementing it and building your credit, or, you know, reaching that perfect credit score depending on where you're at currently. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, but I have to get back to work. And I will see you guys for Friday's cash stuffing. I hope you guys are all having a great week and continue to. And yeah, I will talk to you guys in my cash stuffing video. Bye.